Hey y'all, hi. Okay, this video is 20 questions to ask yourself about your clothes. Kind of a tool for wardrobe decluttering and building. So like wardrobe curation, a tool for self-reflection in that process. It's not 20 questions to ask yourself about your style, which I guess I could do that. That would be a separate video. This is like your clothes that you have, what to do with them. Let's have some movement in the wardrobe department inside of your home with the pieces of cloth sewn together that you put on your own body. And I'm largely doing this for my own benefit because I'm way overdue for some sort of intensive, world-shattering clothing declutter. I think I'm kind of trying to build up to that. Question number 1, do I even know / remember how this garment fits and looks? So this is like you're going through your wardrobe, you see something there and you write it off. You're like, oh, I'm not going to wear that today because XYZ, because it's uncomfortable, because it makes my neck look weird, because it's too small or it's too big or I can't match it with anything or whatever. I find that often I have a misconception of a garment that I don't wear very frequently, or that I used to wear and then don't anymore, or that I bought once thinking I would wear a lot and then I don't actually wear it a lot. Somewhere along the way, I formed this idea about that garment, something bad about it, about how it looks or feels to have it on. If one day I just take a second and put it on, I was totally wrong. And I don't really know where that misconception came from. Like I was just feeling bad one day. Sometimes I feel like it just descends in the night like an evil demon. This idea that you don't want to ever wear that sweater that you got at that thrift shop that time because it's a little bit scratchy. Then you put it on and you're like, oh no, it's not. It's actually perfect. That's why I bought it. Going through your wardrobe, ask yourself of each piece, do I even remember how this looks or feels? Is the idea that I have in my mind that's keeping me from wearing this garment, is that actually a true idea? Is it facts or is it feelings? Because you know, feelings aren't facts, my friends. You can discover the facts about any garment that you have that's kind of languishing that you don't really know what to do with. You can discover them in mere moments by trying it on again. Question number 2 to ask of any given garment in your wardrobe. Can I build a monochromatic outfit with this? So this first slew of questions is kind of about styling. Again, sort of creating some movement and some activity around what might feel like a stagnant wardrobe. Pull out a garment that you haven't worn in a long time or that feels boring to you. Maybe you have been wearing it, but you're bored of it. And ask yourself, can I create a monochromatic outfit? Often, if you take a garment and just wear it with other garments that are all in its exact same color family, they don't have to match exactly. They don't have to be the same shade, but just the same color family, like a tone-on-tone monochromatic outfit, you can really revive that piece and make it exciting to wear once again, whether it's been languishing or whether it has just started to feel boring. Question 3, can I build a two-toned outfit with this? Similar idea, right? A two-toned outfit only has 2 colors in it. And when you're building a two-tone outfit, it's really important, I feel, to get the full effect, it's really important to consider the shoes and the bag and the outerwear as well. So if your 2 tones are blue, say that you're wearing jeans as one of your garments, and so one of your tones is automatically blue and white. So like blue jeans and a white shirt, that's kind of a tough one unless you have a lot of white accessories or blue. Like if you have a blue coat or a denim jacket and some white or kind of bone colored shoes and a cream colored bag, then you've got a two-toned outfit. My favorite two-toned outfit is just black and white. It makes it so easy to make sure that every accessory, literally every piece, falls into one of those 2 color categories. And once again, this can be a powerful way to revive a piece that has been languishing, that's been feeling boring, or that you're not quite sure how to style. Question number 4 to ask of your garments, can I make this garment the star of an outfit? So this is the outfit building concept that I discussed in my long ago video about how to get dressed, a video with a suggestion for a direction to take when you're getting dressed in the morning. The direction is to choose a star for your outfit and then to build the entire outfit around it. One of my favorite ways to do this, especially with sort of a splashy piece, I find that there are pieces in my wardrobe that I don't wear very often because they're a little splashy. So they're there. I always sort of scroll past them when I'm deciding what to wear because I'm like, it's just a little too much. It's a little too much. Not today, because it's kind of a lot. But if I take that piece and make it the only shining star in an otherwise extremely neutral, extremely quiet outfit by wearing all black black and carrying a black bag and black shoes and then wearing that one chartreuse blouse, or by having everything else be just pretty toned down, casual and minimal in its silhouette, and then carrying that one really dramatic, humorous bag or something like that. So if you're not wearing something for that reason, question 5, would I wear this tomorrow? Now we're kind of getting into the decluttering triggers. Would I wear this tomorrow? Can I dredge up a feeling of excitement about wearing this tomorrow? If I think about wearing this tomorrow and the answer is no, why not? This to me is a really powerful question that also comes in handy when I'm clothes shopping. When I'm out at the thrift shop with my cousin and we're trying stuff on and something's really exciting and dynamic and it's like, these wild yellow silk pants and they look so cute because they just happen to fit my waist perfectly. And she's like, oh my God, you have to get them. They're perfect for you. And then I'm like, but would I wear them tomorrow? Would I wake up tomorrow morning and be excited to wear them? And the answer is no, because I don't really wear yellow and it's a little too formal for me in my lifestyle right now. I wouldn't want to get that silk dirty. And so I'm like, no, I wouldn't wear them tomorrow. And then would I wear them the next day? Actually, no, I wouldn't wear them the next day because nothing will have changed. And then I'll wear them the next day and the next day. So then it's just like, I'm there in the shop and yeah, they look amazing, but when will I ever wear them? If I wouldn't be excited to wear them tomorrow, possibly never. Likely, probably never. So if you ask yourself, would I wear this tomorrow of a garment in your wardrobe? And the answer is an unequivocal no, but it's not for some really clear reason like, oh, it's a tuxedo and I'm not going to a wedding tomorrow, you know what I mean? Then maybe you'd wear it never, and that is a real candidate for the declutter. How do I feel when I wear this? You might think that this would be obvious or something that you think about all the time when you're getting dressed. I mean, I think some people do, but I think some people don't. Some people wear clothes all the time, garments all the time that make them feel bad, and just never really check in with themselves about that. Hold up the shirt and say to yourself, how do I feel when I wear this? And if the answer is a little bit self-conscious or itchy or fidgety because I'm always having to adjust it, if the answer is something other than great, because you deserve to have your clothes make you feel great, right? As great as you can with the addition of clothes. It's the joy of dressing oneself. So if the answer is worse than I felt before I put it on, or bad in some way, or definitely not as good as I feel when I wear those other things, then that might be a candidate for the declutter. And it might never have occurred to you because you might have gotten really used to wearing that thing. Why am I not wearing this? So this is a little bit connected to the first question, which is, do I even remember how this makes me feel? Why am I not wearing this? If it's something that is sitting in the back of your closet, maybe there's a really good reason, like because it's a tuxedo and I'm not going to a wedding very often. Why am I not wearing this? Is it a good reason? Is it a logical reason? Is it a reason that makes total sense? Like, I'm not wearing this, but yeah, of course I'm not, but I still definitely want it for this other reason. Do you get clarity about the fact that it belongs in your wardrobe even though you're not wearing it? When you ask yourself, why am I not wearing this? Or when you ask yourself, why am I not wearing this? Does that suddenly open up a chasm into which you can just chuck that thing? Because sometimes the question, why am I not wearing this, will lift the scales from your eyes and you will suddenly see that you're not wearing it because it just doesn't belong in your life anymore. Sometimes all it takes is that one pointed question to allow you to part from something that you've been hanging on to for some reason. Maybe when you ask, why am I not wearing this? And you're like, well, it's because it makes me feel bad. It's because it makes me feel bad. Question 8. I love this one. What was the vision when I first bought this? And maybe the vision was the vision of a fool, as I often find when I ask myself this question. That also gives me clarity, because what was the vision when I first bought this? Well, when I first bought this, I was 8 years younger than I am now. I didn't know as much about myself as I do now. I didn't know what my life was going to be like now. So at that time, I had this sort of fantasy. I was like, if I buy this, then I'll feel sultry at parties. Not only does it not make me feel sultry, and I don't need it to feel sultry, but I'm also not really going to parties. I asked myself, well, what was the vision when I first bought this? And then I remember what the vision was, and I'm like, she didn't know. She was wrong. And so I don't need to keep this. I don't need to keep trying to make it work when that vision was so off base and I've come so far since then. But sometimes asking yourself, holding a thing up and thinking, what was the vision when I first bought this, brings back the excitement, the feeling of creativity, the sense of hope, the version of having a fantasy self that you can actively work towards. Maybe you can work towards it by wearing the thing because you had this vision, this fantasy, and now you own the garment. And so by wearing it, you can actually kind of step towards that fantasy of yourself. What was the vision when I first bought this? Well, it was a vision of myself boldly wearing red, which I haven't been doing because it feels scary to boldly wear red. All I have to do to embody that vision is wear the red sweater, and then I'll be experiencing the thing that I imagined for myself when I first bought this. Okay, moving deeper into kind of declutter, organization, clarity world with one's wardrobe. Question 9, could this go into storage? I am only being kept afloat and tied by a tenuous thread to sanity in this lifetime by this question, specifically about my clothing. And it's because I'm in this little kind of in-between place, right? We've moved, there's stuff everywhere. We're still trying to organize the house. We're still trying to figure out how we're gonna live in this house without too much stuff, but also having everything we need and having a place for everything and everything in its place. Like, that's the long-term vision, but it's taking us some time to get there. When I'm going through clothes that have sort of just piled up somewhere and I'm like, I need to deal with this. I need to declutter this stuff. I need to figure out if I'm going to sell this. I need to hang it up. I will often pick up a piece of clothing and say to myself, could this go into storage? And then I'm like, yes, this could go into storage because it's not seasonal. It's something that I really think I might wear again, but I know that I'm not wearing it right now for one reason or another. Maybe it's because of body changes or lifestyle. Again, because I usually have to wear things that I can easily wipe my hands on these days or something, maybe it's something I really like, but I'm just really not vibing with it right now. Like a print. I'm not wearing prints very much, but some of my beautiful printed garments, I'm not totally ready to part with them because I think what goes around might come around. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm not going to wear this within a year because print is way out from my personal style. Could it go into storage? And then when I get a hankering for print a year and a half from now, I could go dig it out. Yes, 1,000 times yes. So I've been carefully and lovingly folding some things, putting them in storage in clear plastic bins in our basement. And it has been such a good move. And if you ask yourself, could this go into storage? And then you're like, well, no, because it's not worth the space it would take to store. Well, then you know how you feel about that thing. If it's could this go into storage? And you're like, oh no, because I would be like, where is that thing? Storage is too far away from me. Then you know how you feel about that thing. Oh, I love this. A variation on that theme. Question number 10, could this be archived? This is sort of a new idea to me. The idea of archiving your own clothing. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself about some of my really special pieces that I loved and wore when I was younger, but that feel just a little bit too young for me or a little bit played out. Not everything. I'm not keeping absolutely everything I've ever worn and loved, but a very few really special, like a Chloe dress that I found at a thrift shop in Portland for $50 and then wore to one of my best friend's weddings and to a bunch of beautiful evenings at dinner. But that now it's just a little bit skimpy for me. And also it's green and I don't really wear green right now. And so I see it and I'm like, I can't sell this piece of my personal history. And also it's a really beautiful designer piece that I really lucked out in finding for a price that I was able to afford at that time. So I see it, I have it there and I'm like, I'm genuinely not going to wear this probably ever again. So it feels a little weird to just keep it. And I don't like having it taking up space in my closet. In a comment on one of my fashion videos a couple months ago, somebody brought up this idea of having a personal archive. That is the answer. I saw that and I breathed such a sigh of relief. And since then I have a handful of dresses like the one that I just told you about that I've been like, oh, could this be archived? And then I'm like, yeah, this really does belong in the archive. And so those have gone into their own storage box in a special place in the basement. Question 11, does this make me feel bad when I see it here? Kind of adjacent to what I was just saying, some of those pieces that have since been archived, when I saw them there in the closet, they made me feel bad because it was sort of this unfinished business, like unanswered question. I'd see them and I'd be like, oh, I'm hanging on to this thing I'm never going to wear again. What am I doing? What am I doing in my life? What am I doing with my closet space? So it would make me feel bad for this a little bit complicated, sort of subtle reason of self-judgment. That's a good reason to move something through. There are also other, for me, guilt, perfectionism, things will make me feel bad. I'll see something in my closet, it'll make me feel bad for one of those reasons. But there are all sorts of reasons something can make you feel bad when you see it hanging in your closet. Maybe because it's attached to a bad memory. Maybe because someone gave it to you and you have bad juju with that person and you don't want to get rid of it because you're afraid that they're going to ask you about it and you're going to be like, oh, I didn't keep it. There are so many. I can't even list the number of reasons why you might behold a garment hanging in your closet and ask yourself, does this make me feel bad when I see it here? And the answer would be yes. So for any reason, once you've answered that question, and if the answer is yes, it makes me feel bad, then you're like, oh, okay, well, that's not what these clothes are here to do. They're not here to make me feel bad. So I'm going to figure out what to do with that. Could it be archived? Could it go into storage? Could it be given back? Could it be decluttered? Could it be burned in effigy? Question 12, the ubiquitous. Am I ever going to wear this again? And as we've established, if the answer is no, it doesn't necessarily mean you immediately have to get rid of it. There are other potential ways you could handle that. Of course, sometimes the answer is I don't know. And then maybe could it go into storage until you can answer that question? Or would I wear it tomorrow to kind of find out if I want to ever wear it again and how it would make me feel? Maybe this should have been a flow chart. Maybe I should make a flow chart. Maybe I need a clothing declutter flowchart. In any case, am I ever going to wear this again? It's shocking how many garments are hanging in my own wardrobe with the answer to this question being probably not and or no. Just no, and they're just there. Even though it seems like an obvious question, it's not. Because we have things, they're there, we're never going to wear them again, yet they stay until you grab yourself by your own lapels and say to your own face, am I ever going to wear this again? That no kind of stays buried under the ground. So I really feel like this is a question worth asking. And maybe the answer is, why, yes. Maybe it's like, am I ever going to wear this again? Why, yes. Tomorrow, next week, right now, Question 14. And now we're getting into the dark underbelly. Is this for a fantasy self that I will never be? And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now that the next question on the list, question 14, my numbering system is wrong because of a quirk of formatting. I don't know if I said that both of these were question 14. The first one was question 13. Is this for a fantasy self I'll never be? Question 14. Is this for a fantasy self I'm actively working towards? Because I think that the fantasy self can be motivating. I will now refer you to my video about the fantasy self, in which I talk about the much maligned trope of the fantasy self on social media and how I actually think that there is not enough disambiguation there. Because I think that the fantasy self that you will never be because you're not willing or able or just going to put in the work that it takes to get from point A to point B. And you thought that just buying the thing was all you needed to do to become the fantasy self, but really buying something doesn't make you into your fantasy self. You have to do actions. And maybe the action is just wearing the thing, right? But it sounds like you might not be doing that either. You might even not be doing that, If you're not willing to do the work to take action, then you're not going to become that fantasy self. And we have a lot of fantasy selves. I have a lot of fantasy selves that I'm not going to become because I'm just not going to travel. I'm not going to put energy into the journey from point A to point B. And those kinds of fantasy selves, it's good to recognize that that's what they are. And if your garment is for that fantasy self that you'll never be because you're not going to take the steps to walk down that path, then declutter it because it's probably making you feel bad. If the garment is for a fantasy self that you are in some way working towards actually becoming, acquiring the garment was part of that work, and wearing the garment is also going to be part of that work, start wearing the garment. If the answer to this question is, no, it's not for a fantasy self I'll never be, but it's for a fantasy self that I think I have the power to be, and then I have the energy and the motivation to actually become, put that garment front and center and start wearing it because you've got it. It's there. What are you waiting for? You know what I mean? For more information, click through and watch that other video about the fantasy self because I gave you sort of a summary just now, but I did a much more thorough job in that video because it was the only topic. Question 15. Would I be happier with an upgraded version of this? Now, it's not always possible, right? It's not always possible, but I think that this is a good reference point because there are some garments in your wardrobe or accessories that might be making you feel bad because they're falling apart or they just don't fit quite right anymore because you've worn them to pieces because you really love them. They're not making you feel bad for any one of those other reasons that I have talked about. They're making you feel bad because they are kind of ready to be retired, but you don't want to let them go. So you're wearing them, you're wearing something that's like kind of really past its prime. You'd be happier with an upgraded version. Sometimes it costs too much to upgrade something. It's not a time when you have budget for buying it, or the upgraded version would be a really nice version and you have to save for it. You can't buy it right now, so you have to continue wearing the old one. Maybe the one that you have isn't falling apart, isn't old and yucky, but it's just not that well made because it was a piece of fast fashion, or it's in a bad fabric because it was a piece of fast fashion. It just doesn't hang right. Like the seams are funny. It's wrinkly because it's made of bad fabric and because it's a piece of fast fashion. A lot of times I feel like people buy things that they're drawn to it because a well-made version of that thing would be incredible on them. That color is incredible on them, but then the garment is a real disappointment because it's fast fashion. So if there's something in your wardrobe that it's like this knot that you can't untie because you're like, but everything seems great about it. It checks all my boxes. I thought I would really love it, but it's just kind of blah. It's frumpy. And again, if you haven't seen it, I'll direct you towards my video about why you always feel frumpy and you can't, no matter what you wear, no matter what you buy, because it often has to do with these things. Garment quality, garment cut, fabric quality, structure. structure, that kind of thing. It might be that you would be happier with an upgraded version of a thing, a better made version. So if the answer to this is yes, if you ask yourself, would I be happier with an upgraded version of this? And then you have the aha moment where it's like, yes, that's why I think that I like this and I want to wear it. And then it never sort of looks and feels good, but I don't want to give it up because I love this color or whatever, it's because what I need is an upgraded version. You might not be able to buy one right away, budget allowing. Maybe you can though. Maybe you can immediately go and seek out a better made version of that thing, maybe on the secondhand market, Poshmark or eBay or something like that. But if you can't right now, it's something to work towards. You can do the research, you can figure out which one you might want to invest in to replace the one that you want to upgrade, and then you can work towards it and save for it. And that's such a great situation to be in when it comes to building your wardrobe, because you end up with a really high quality version of the thing. You saved for it, you invested in it, and so you are committed to taking good care of it and wearing it a lot and getting good use value out of it. Okay, moving on for the last 5 questions to some questions about garment care and fit and stuff like that. Question number 16, could this be tailored? Could this be tailored? Could this be tailored? A question I feel that doesn't occur to enough of us because we're so used to convenience and having everything like quickly and everything right and having everything be stretchy and everything, it's like something is just not quite there. And the reason that you don't wear it, like maybe in one of the first 15 questions, you answered the question on like, am I going to wear this tomorrow? No. Will I ever wear this again? I don't know. Do I remember how this fits? I think I do. Maybe I don't. And maybe the answer is, well, it just doesn't fit right. It's just like the waistband's an inch too loose or the hem is an inch too short or something. Like it doesn't fit quite right. But could it be tailored? Because the power of having a garment that somebody has just kind of nipped and tucked and made just right for you, or let out, or let the seams down, or done something, you can really revive a garment that way. I have a very long waist, so a lot of times pants don't come up quite high enough for me. I have to size up in them so that they'll be long enough, but then they are kind of baggy around the waist. Tailoring is so amazing for that. The crotch can be lengthened, and then the waist can be taken in to fit higher, and then the hems can be let out. And that's like the pant that, if it had been designed that way, would have been the perfect pant for me. Tailoring is a really powerful option. If it's never occurred to you, maybe something to consider. Question 17, am I really going to fix this? Hot on the heels of could this be tailored? Am I really going to have this tailored, right? So if you've got something like a pair of pants that doesn't fit quite right, that you've been hanging on to for 2 years, just being like, oh, I just need to get that tailored. Those are going to be so amazing when I get them tailored. But then you haven't, you're never going to. You just don't get things tailored. That's fine. Know thyself. And if you're not ever actually going to take it, then just let it go. Let it move on. That might be why it's hanging in your wardrobe, making you feel bad, right? If you see it and it's like, oh, yeah, what's wrong with me? I'm so disorganized. I can never get my stuff. I can never take my stuff to the tailor. It's okay. You don't have to be someone who gets stuff tailored. But if you aren't, then just declutter that thing, because it's just going to keep making you feel bad. Ditto with things that you were going to fix yourself, sewing a button on. If you are a little bit handy with a sewing machine and you were going to hem the thing, like you were going to hem them yourself, those pants, and you do know how to do it, and you just need to find the time, but it's been 5 years, or there's like a hole in that pocket, you could easily fix it. It's just not a priority, and you don't even really like those pants that much. Am I really going to fix this? Am I really going to have it tailored? Maybe the answer is no, and that's okay. And then you can just declutter it. And maybe the answer is yes, and then you're like, tomorrow. Question number 18. This is a little bit of a departure from most of what has been on this list, but I think that this is a good thing to talk about. I think it's good to ask yourself, of clothes that you are putting in your laundry, does this really need to be washed? And does this really need to be washed today? Or does this really need to be washed in my next load of laundry? It could be a little controversial. I, for example, am a pretty sweaty person. Often my tops need to be washed after I wear them one time. Very often they need to be washed after I wear them one time, even only for a short time. Sometimes sitting here filming, I'll put a top on just to film. I'll sit here filming, I'll get all worked up, and then I'll change out of that top after I finish filming. Like I just put it on for the hour and a half that it took to film a video, and it has to be washed, because that's how sweaty I sometimes am. If the answer is yes, the answer is yes. And I'm not trying to shame you for like washing your dirty clothes, okay? I find that when I go through my laundry, and this might just be because I'm kind of absent-minded, or at the end of the day, I'm really tired. When I go through my laundry before I put it in the wash, sometimes there are a number of garments in there that I'm like, this actually isn't that dirty. It doesn't really need to be washed. And here's the thing. Washing clothes is probably the most destructive thing you do to them, right? it's shortening the lifespan of your clothing. Each time you wash the garment, it's aging it. The more gently you can treat your clothes, especially if you've invested in them and you're trying to make them last. And then if they're made out of 100% wool or linen, those are pretty breathable fabrics that aren't likely to hold on to sweat and stink in the same way. And so they really don't need to be washed. My 100% wool Baba sweaters, those like chunky wool sweaters, I wash them once a year. And I just told you how sweaty I am, right? I will wear one of those wool sweaters all winter long and then wash it right at the end of the winter. Like I'm about to do it. I'm about to wash all of my Baba sweaters one at a time, or maybe a couple of them at a time, very gently, and then lay them flat to dry them out really dry, and then fold them and put them away for the summer. And then I get them out and I wear them all winter. I just wash them the one time. Not everything needs to be washed right away after you wear it. If you are thoughtful about it and try not to put things through the ringer of wash very frequently, then your clothes will last longer. And you'll save water if you do less laundry. Along the same lines, can this actually be hand washed or hand washed gently? There are sort of two ways to apply this question. One is to things that say that they're dry clean only. I've gotten a lot of requests for videos about garment care, and this isn't the whole thing, right? I could make a whole separate video about it, which I will. But I think this is a really great question to ask about some of your clothes. And when you're going to buy something too, it's good to ask yourself, like, how will I care for this? But we're talking about clothes you already own. Some garments say they're dry clean only because washing them in water makes them kind of wrinkled. They're going to get all wrinkled up, like the lining on lined pants. If you hand wash it gently in cold water and then hang it up to dry, you're not going to destroy the pants. It's just they'll get all cattywampus, because like the lining and the pockets will get all wrinkled and everything will get it'll look a little worse for wear. If you have a garment steamer, if you're handy with an iron, you can bring it right back to life. You can kind of press and steam it yourself, and then you will have cleaned the garment and also smoothed it all out again without taking it to the dry cleaner. Could this pair of formal trousers just be gently hand washed in cold water instead of dry cleaned? Possibly yes, possibly no, right? Possibly it feels like too much of a risk. That's fine, but it's a good question to ask yourself. And the other thing is, could this maybe be gently hand washed instead of thrown into like a big, like the regular wash, vigorous wash with all of my clothes banging around and like kind of getting beat up and kind of getting maybe seized up a little bit. Like there are some things that you can kind of ask yourself, maybe if I just wash this very gently, it'll fare better and it'll last longer. So I guess what I'm saying is consider a hand wash or a quite delicate cycle every once in a while for a variety of reasons. And question 20, kind of an anticlimactic final question. This is just where we ended up, okay? Should this really be going in the dryer? I'm so passionate about this. As you'll know if you watched my video about why you're always feeling frumpy. One of the reasons that you might be feeling frumpy is because you're putting all your clothes in the dryer and the dryer is just melting them, making them like soft and faded and using a ton of energy too. And we have a dryer and we use it for some things. Way more than half of my clothes don't go in the dryer. I hang them on hangers to dry and hang the hangers on a bar where the laundry is in our basement. Or when the weather's nice, hang them outside. Hanging a t-shirt, like a cotton t-shirt on a hanger to dry kind of gives it crisp structure and helps it retain its integrity instead of everything becoming sort of a soft, old looking, frumpy version of itself, which with a lot of garments that are being sold today, one visit to the interior of the dryer, just one, will do that to it. What I'm saying is you will essentially ruin your beautiful garment by putting it in the dryer one time. You'll be able to wear it still, but it won't be the shirt you bought. It won't be the pair of pants you tried on in the store. The dryer will take it from a 10 to a 6 in terms of quality and formality and just general polish and how good it makes you feel. Ask of your clothing, every single item of your clothing, should this really be going in the dryer? Does this really need to go in the dryer? Will it benefit from going in the dryer? Or should I just take the extra minute to hang it on a hanger or hang it on a drying rack and give it a longer lifespan? So that's it. Kind of off the top of my head, 20 questions to ask yourself about your clothes. I bet that I could come up with 20 more. And if you like this video, then maybe I will. And I do think that we could do this with personal style. And I do think that I could make a flowchart. So stay tuned, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world. And my name is Hannah.